What if I told you there's a place where death doesn't rest? An island so cursed that even the bravest souls refuse to set foot on its shores after sunset. This isn't fiction, it's Poveglia. Imagine standing alone at midnight, surrounded by crumbling ruins and rusted iron gates. You hear footsteps behind you, but when you turn, no one's there. Then comes the voice, a chilling whisper calling your name. Would you run, or would you stay to uncover the truth? Poveglia sits silently in the Venetian Lagoon, but don't let its stillness fool you. Beneath its soil lie centuries of suffering. This island has witnessed horrors beyond imagination. It's a place where the past refuses to stay buried. But why does it haunt us? What secrets lie hidden beneath its surface? And why do those who visit leave forever changed or never return at all? Let's begin our journey into the shadows of Poveglia. In 1793, Venice faced a plague epidemic so devastating that officials turned Poveglia into a quarantine zone, a dumping ground for the sick and dying. Thousands were shipped there, never to return. They called it the Island of No Escape. But what happened to those who didn't survive? Historians estimate that over 160,000 people died on Poveglia during the plagues. Bodies were burned in massive pits, their ashes mixed with the soil. Locals claim the ground itself is toxic, poisoned by centuries of human remains. Some say the air smells faintly of charred flesh even today. Is it imagination, or something darker? The plague ships arrive daily, their decks littered with corpses. Desperate to contain the outbreak, officials chose Poveglia as a quarantine zone. Families were torn apart as the sick were dragged onto boats and sent to the island. Many never saw their loved ones again. Survivors spoke of unimaginable horrors. Patients were left to die in overcrowded tents, their cries echoing across the lagoon. Others were burned alive in mass cremations. The smoke from the pyres rose like a dark cloud over Venice, a grim reminder of the suffering endured on Poveglia. Even now, locals whisper about the island's curse. They say the spirits of the dead linger, unable to find peace. Visitors report hearing agonized screams and seeing shadowy figures wandering the ruins. Is it history repeating itself, or is it something more sinister? Fast forward to the 20th century. The island became home to an asylum, a place where patients vanished without explanation. Locals whispered about cruel experiments conducted by a deranged doctor. Some say his ghost still roams the halls, dragging victims into eternal torment. Is it true, or is it all legend? The asylum opened in the early 1920s, but it quickly gained a reputation for cruelty and despair. Patients described it as hell on earth. Stories emerged of a sadistic doctor obsessed with lobotomies. His methods were barbaric, his tools primitive. Witnesses claimed they heard agonized cries late at night. Some even swore they saw him throwing bodies into pits of lime to dispose of the evidence. Was he mad, or was he possessed? Then came the fire. In 1968, flames engulfed the asylum under mysterious circumstances. Official reports blamed faulty wiring, but survivors spoke of something else entirely. One nurse recounted seeing a figure cloaked in black walking through the inferno untouched. Another insisted she heard laughter amidst the chaos. Could these accounts simply be trauma-induced hallucinations? Or did something supernatural ignite that blaze? Today, the ruins stand silent, or do they? Visitors report strange phenomena, disembodied voices, sudden drops in temperature, and apparitions appearing out of nowhere. Paranormal experts have tried to investigate, but many flee before completing their research. What drives them away? And what awaits those foolish enough to linger? Here's the twist. Not all stories end with closure. Some remain open wounds, festering in the shadows. Deep beneath the asylum lies a hidden chamber, sealed shut for centuries. Local legends speak of artifacts tied to rituals older than recorded history. But what's inside? And why does everyone who tries to open it vanish without a trace? In recent years, brave explorers and paranormal investigators have ventured onto Poveglia. Few have returned unscathed. One group reported hearing faint whispers coming from the walls themselves. "Help me," the voice pleaded over and over again. When they pressed their ear against the cold stone, The whispers turned into screams. Others reported seeing shadowy figures darting between rooms only to vanish when approached. Some claim the spirits of patients still roam the halls searching for justice or revenge. And then there's the story of the Red Door, a rusted, blood-stained door deep within the asylum that no one dares to open. Locals say it leads to the doctor's private chambers, where his most horrific experiments took place. Those who've tried to force it open swear they felt icy hands pulling them back. One man claimed he saw his own reflection in the door, and it smiled at him before vanishing. What lies beyond that door, and why does it seem to pulse with a faint, unnatural glow at night? We're just scratching the surface. Next time we'll step inside the asylum itself, the heart of Poveglia's darkness. Who or what was locked away within those walls? And can science explain the unexplainable? Stay tuned, because next time we'll uncover the truth behind the Red Door and reveal the horrifying secret that ties everything together. If you're new here, hit subscribe so you don't miss our weekly deep dives into history's greatest enigmas. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Previously on Mysteries Uncovered, an island where thousands perished in agony, where plague victims were burned alive, where a doctor's twisted experiments defied humanity itself, and where a mysterious fire claimed countless souls in 1968. Now we dare to venture deeper into Poveglia's darkness. Can you feel it? That weight in the air, that pressure on your chest making it hard to breathe. The walls remember everything here. Every terrified scream, every desperate plea for mercy, every final rattling breath. Welcome back to Poveglia Island, where the boundary between past and present, between the living and the dead, isn't just thin, it's breaking. Last time we merely scratched the surface of this cursed place, but tonight we take you through those rusted iron gates, past the point of no return, into the very heart of darkness itself, the Asylum. Where hundreds went in, but only shadows came out. The air grows colder here, thick with the weight of untold suffering. Each step echoes through these abandoned corridors like a hammer striking bone. Our flashlight beams catch movement in the darkness ahead, but when we turn, there's nothing there. Or is there? The air grows thick here, heavy with decades of suffering. Our footsteps echo through empty corridors, each sound sending shivers down our spine. Because in this place, we're never truly alone. Maria Russo was just 17 when she started working here as a nurse's aide in 1962. The screams, she told us, her hands trembling as she spoke. They weren't always from the patients. Her eyes distant, lost in memories she'd rather forget. Sometimes they came from the walls themselves. But what Maria witnessed next would haunt her every waking moment, and her dreams. For the rest of her life, she still wakes up screaming, even now. 55 years later, her hands trembling as she describes that night, that moonless October night when everything changed, when she learned that some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. The darkness was absolute, the kind that seems to swallow light itself, to feed on it. She was making her final rounds, checking on the patients in the East Wing, when she heard it, a sound that made her blood run cold, metal scraping against stone, slow, deliberate, coming from the basement, the Forbidden Wing, where even the most hardened staff feared to tread. Don't go down there, they'd warned her. That's where he works. The doctor, the man whose name the staff feared to speak. But Maria heard something else that night, something that made her break every rule, a child's cry. What she found in that basement would challenge everything she thought she knew about reality itself. The operating theater was exactly as survivors described it. Rusty instruments scattered across blood-stained tables, leather restraints hanging like dead snakes from a chair that looked more like an instrument of torture. But it was the walls that caught Maria's attention, covered in scratches, hundreds of them, some spelling out words in dozens of languages, all saying the same thing: he's still here. The doctor. His experiments went far beyond conventional medicine, beyond the realm of science itself. Former patients spoke of bizarre rituals, of him searching for something he believed lived in the space between life and death. Patient exhibits extraordinary sensitivity to the other side. His voice, captured on a recovered tape, sends chills through even the bravest listener. The procedure was a success. The barrier, I can see through it now. They're showing me everything. But what was he really seeing? And more importantly, what saw him back? The fire that consumed the asylum in 1968 wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Because something changed that night. Something woke up. In our next and final episode, we'll reveal the true horror Maria discovered in that basement. A truth so devastating it's been kept hidden for over half a century. We'll uncover the doctor's final forbidden experiment, the one that changed the very fabric of reality itself, and why the Italian government maintains armed patrols around Poveglia to this day, preventing anyone from setting foot on its shores after sunset. What force could be so terrifying that an entire government would quarantine an island, not to keep something out, but to keep something in? Maria Russo passed away 3 days after our interview, but her last words changed everything we thought we knew. The doctor, she gasped, clutching my hand. He never left the island. Because the island never let him leave. And now he's not alone anymore. Today, Poveglia sits silent in the Venetian Lagoon, its ruins slowly crumbling into the sea. But if you listen carefully, if you dare to really listen, you'll hear something. The sound of footsteps in empty corridors, the whisper of voices in dead air. And sometimes you'll hear laughter, the kind of laughter that makes your soul run cold. Because some places do more than remember, some places hunger. And Poveglia is always hungry. This has been Mysteries Uncovered. Sleep well, if you can. 5 seconds can change everything. In 5 seconds, you can make a choice that will haunt you forever. Maria Russo made that choice in 1968. And now she's finally ready to tell us what she saw. The basement of Poveglia's asylum holds a secret that's been waiting 55 years to be told. Tonight, we reveal the truth. But ask yourself, are you ready to hear it? Maria's hands shake as she unfolds a yellowed piece of paper, a document she's kept hidden for over 5 decades. This is his last note, she whispers. The doctor's final words, written the night of the fire. The paper crackles as she reads, "I've done it. The veil. It's so thin here, this island. It's not just a place, it's a door. And now it's open." What happened next defies explanation, but 17 witnesses all tell the same story. The night of the fire, the doctor gathered 20 patients in the basement for what he called the final procedure ... But this wasn't like his other experiments. This was something else, something darker. Survivors describe a circle of candles, strange symbols drawn in ash and blood. The doctor, standing in the center, reading from a book that looked wrong, pages that seemed to move on their own. He wasn't trying to cure us, one patient later testified. He was trying to use us, to open something. Maria arrived just as it began, the candles flickering in impossible ways, the air itself seeming to twist and bend, and the doctor laughing as reality itself began to tear. "I saw it," Maria tells us, her voice barely a whisper. The thing that came through, the thing he let in. What happened in those final moments? Why did the doctor's own shadow seem to rise up against him? And what really started the fire that consumed the asylum? The truth is more terrifying than any legend. Recently discovered footage shows something emerging from the flames that night, something that shouldn't be possible. Frame-by-frame analysis reveals a figure, but not the doctor. Something wearing his shape, like a suit that doesn't quite fit. The Italian government's official stance remains silent. But we've uncovered documents, reports of anomalies in the area, of time behaving strangely near the island, of people seeing themselves in windows and doorways, only to turn and find nothing there. What is Poveglia really? A haunted island? A doorway? Or something else entirely? The doctor's final notes suggest he found something that existed before humanity, before time itself, and now it's awake. Maria Russo passed away 3 days after our interview, but her last words change everything we thought we knew. The doctor, she gasped, clutching my hand. He never left the island, because the island never let him leave. And now he's not alone anymore. Today, Poveglia sits silent in the Venetian Lagoon, its ruins slowly crumbling into the sea. But something has changed. Can you feel it? That shift in the air, that weight on your chest. The Italian government maintains its silence, but our sources confirm 3 tourist boats have vanished near the island in the past month alone. Their occupants never found. And Maria's final words. The words she whispered to me with her dying breath. It's spreading. The door. It's not just on the island anymore. If you're walking the streets of Venice tonight, and you catch a glimpse of someone in a doctor's coat, someone whose shadow doesn't quite match their form, don't look back. Don't ever look back. Because some places do more than remember. Some places infect, some places spread. And Poveglia is no longer content to wait for visitors. Ask yourself, what if Maria was right? What if the doctor's experiments never ended? What if they're continuing even now? In the shadows of your own city. Sleep well tonight, but remember, when you hear that tap on your window, and that whisper in the dark, and that laughter in an empty room, Poveglia has found you. This has been Mysteries Uncovered. Join us next Tuesday as we begin our journey into another realm of terror, the place where science meets nightmare, where reality bends and breaks, Skinwalker Ranch. What force haunts this cursed patch of Utah desert? What power has left even hardened scientists questioning everything they believe? And why do those who visit never come back quite the same? Mysteries Uncovered returns next week. The truth is waiting.